A recent USDA report revealed that over 70% of packaged meat in big chain stores is handled by only a handful of industrial suppliers focused on speed, not safety. So what if the steak you proudly serve your family tonight has traveled thousands of miles, thawed and refrozen more times than you can count? Have you ever wondered if that fresh chicken in your cart was processed in the same massive plants that have been linked to repeated contamination? Recalls. Shocking. Right. But here's the truth. Most grocery stores won't tell you where your meat really comes from. And worse, some don't even care. So which stores are quietly cutting corners and betraying your trust? And where can you actually find meat worth putting on your table? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Stay with us, because what we're about to reveal may change the way you shop forever. Number 1. Target. You might think walking into Target is like stepping into a candy store for grown-ups, with bright lights, neat aisles, and cheerful signs promising deals that feel too good to pass up. The store seems to whisper, "Go on, treat yourself." And most of us fall for it, piling our carts with things we never planned to buy. But when it comes to meat, that friendly whisper turns into a suspicious silence. Have you ever stopped right in front of those rows of sealed plastic and wondered who even touched this meat last and how long ago? Because you should. Target's meat section feels almost like a forgotten back room at a fancy hotel, polished on the surface, but hollow where it counts. There's no butcher to greet you, no voice to offer tips, and of course, no one to look you in the eye and tell you which cut would actually taste good on your grill tonight. What you see is what you get, and that's exactly the problem. Those factory-perfect packages don't tell you the real story. Most of it comes from the same massive suppliers used by Walmart and Safeway, with Thomas Foods quietly pulling the strings. Does it bother you that some of that meat has traveled thousands of miles from places like Nicaragua, sitting for who knows how long in trucks? Cold storage, or worse, thawed and refrozen to look fresh. And here's the part nobody likes to say out loud. Meat that travels that far often tastes like it. Tough, bland, and lifeless, like chewing on a promise that someone forgot to keep. It's not that Target's meat will make you sick tomorrow, but do you want to risk serving a steak that's been on a cross-country road trip instead of coming from a trusted local source? Some people shrug and say, it's fine for the price. But isn't that the same thing we used to say about gas station hot dogs? Right before we learned better, Target is great when you need laundry soap or a cheap coffee maker. And sure, if dinner plans fall apart, you might grab a pack out of desperation. But planning your meals around it? That's like asking a dollar store to make you a wedding cake. You'll get something, but you probably won't feel good about eating it. Still, it doesn't have to be this way. There's stores that actually care, that still treat meat as food worth respect, not just a barcode. And if the thought of eating steak that might have been frozen for so long makes you uneasy, wait until you hear about a place that might just restore a little of your faith. Number 2, Sprouts Farmers Market. And here's where the story takes a turn. A good one for once. If Target feels like buying meat out of a vending machine, Sprouts Farmers Market feels like stepping into a place where food is still treated like food, not just inventory. It's almost shocking to see a store that hasn't surrendered to the cheapest wins race. You walk in and the air smells clean, the counters look cared for, and the people behind them actually act like they know and care about what they're selling. Imagine that. A store where you're more than just another barcode. The selection alone makes you pause. Beef, pork, lamb, turkey, even duck, laid out like they actually expect you to cook something worth eating, not just toss frozen patties in a pan. But the real headline here isn't variety, it's what they refuse to compromise on. 100% grass-fed beef, every single time. No exceptions, no special premium upcharge, no guessing which package hides the good stuff. All of it comes from Midwest farms where the cattle graze on grass and forage their entire lives. Never pumped full of antibiotics or hormones to fatten them unnaturally fast. That's not a marketing trick, just their baseline. Think about that for a second. At other stores, grass-fed is treated like some luxury item, almost like buying a sports car. But at Sprouts, it's just the way things are supposed to be. And here's where it gets even better. Their poultry standards are catching up fast. Cage-free hens, lower density farms, Changes that other chains promise someday, Sprouts is already doing. It's the kind of quiet commitment that makes you wonder if they can do it. Why can't the others? Or maybe the better question is, why won't they? Sprouts doesn't feel like a place cutting corners behind closed doors, and you can taste it in the food. Steaks are richer, chicken doesn't cook down to half its size, and you don't feel that nagging doubt about what you're feeding your family. Sure, you might pay a little more, but isn't that what real food costs when someone isn't trying to sneak by with the cheapest possible product? So if Target left you feeling uneasy about what's hidden in that plastic wrap, Sprouts feels like a reminder that not every store has given up on doing things the right way, and you'll want to hold on to that feeling, because the next store on this list, well, let's just say it might make you wish every town had a Sprouts on the corner. Number 3, Trader Joe's. Just when Sprouts gives you hope that not all grocery stores have sold their souls to the cheapest bidder, Trader Joe's steps in to remind us that even a beloved name can let you down in the worst way, and this one hurts. Doesn't it? Because everyone loves Trader Joe's. The quirky signs, the Hawaiian shirts, the frozen snacks with names that sound like they were dreamed up at a college party. It feels fun, safe, even personal, but fun doesn't feed your family. And trust me, when you take a closer look at their meat section, the smile starts to fade fast. Let's be fair where fairness is due. The meat they sell is usually good. If you happen to find what you need, it'll probably taste fine, maybe even great. But here's the catch. You might have better luck picking a winning scratch-off ticket than finding a decent selection. You can stand in front of their entire meat display without even having to turn your head. Beef, chicken, pork, tiny options, mostly prepackaged, and often missing entirely if you come at the wrong time. You'd almost think meat is just an afterthought, tossed in so nobody complains. But that's not even the real problem. The real problem is one word: transparency, or rather, the lack of it. Almost everything at Trader Joe's is private label. They buy it from third-party suppliers, slap their cheerful logo on it, and call it a day. With meat, that means you have almost no idea where it's actually coming from. One week it might be from a farm in Arizona, the next from a supplier in Michigan. Maybe that's fine for a box of cookies or a frozen pizza, but do you really want to play guessing games with the meat you're feeding your family? Think about it. You wouldn't buy a used car if the dealer refused to tell you who owned it before. Right. So why are we okay letting a store shrug and say, "Trust us, it's fine when it comes to what's going on our dinner tables"? Trader Joe's fans love to say, the quality speaks for itself. But does it really? Or are we just too charmed by the Hawaiian shirts to ask harder questions? Grab a pack of ground beef if you're already there, stocking up on mandarin orange chicken or peanut butter pretzels. But planning your family meals around Trader Joe's meat, that's like planning a road trip with a gas tank that might or might not be full. And after seeing how Sprouts can get it right, it makes you wonder, why can't a store with Trader Joe's money and popularity bother to do the same? Maybe that's why the next store feels like such a breath of fresh air. Because when you finally step into a place that treats meat as something to be proud of, not just another product to hide behind a label, it's almost enough to make you forget how disappointing the last stop was. Number 4, Wegmans. After the letdown of Trader Joe's and its mystery meat guessing game, Wegmans feels almost too good to be real, like stumbling into a diner where they still remember how to cook from scratch. And maybe that's the point. Wegmans treats meat as food, not just as something to slap a label on and shove in a cooler. If the last store left you wondering where your steak even came from, this one practically hands you a map. What makes Wegmans stand out isn't just one shiny selling point, it's the way every piece fits together. Their philosophy is simple but almost radical in today's grocery world. They build direct, personal relationships with the farms and ranches that supply their meat. Take their beef, for instance. Since the year 2011, they've had an exclusive partnership with Center Feed Farms in Virginia. These cattle are raised without hormones, without antibiotics, and on farms they actually visit and trust. That's not a marketing slogan, but how they do business. And it doesn't stop at beef. Wegmans works with a web of regional farmers across the Northeast for chicken, pork, and lamb. When was the last time you bought meat and knew the name of the farm it came from? There's something comforting, almost old-fashioned, about that level of transparency. Buying meat at Wegmans doesn't feel like rolling the dice. It feels like shaking hands with the farmer himself. For older folks who still remember when butchers knew your name and told you what was fresh that morning, Wegmans comes the closest to bringing that feeling back. Except now it's on a scale big enough to feed thousands. It's almost funny. Isn't it a giant supermarket doing what most small family stores gave up on decades ago? And it shows in the food. The beef cooks tenderly. The chicken doesn't shrink into a sad puddle of water. And you don't feel that nagging voice in your head whispering, "What are they not telling me Wegmans makes you trust what's on your plate?" And that trust isn't something you can buy cheap. The only downside, not everyone can shop there. For those in the Northeast, Wegmans is almost a bragging right. For the rest of us, it's a reminder of how good things could be if more stores cared this much. And maybe that's the real question. If Wegmans can pull this off, why do so many others keep cutting corners? So enjoy Wegmans if you're lucky enough to live near one. Hold on to that faith in your food, because the next stop on this list might just knock the wind out of you again, and it's a hard fall when you've tasted what the best can be. Number 5, Walmart. And now we tumble from the high standards of Wegmans straight into the belly of the beast Walmart. The name alone carries weight, doesn't it? It's the store you can't seem to avoid, the place where you can buy socks, a fishing pole, and a week's worth of groceries all before lunch. And to be fair, when it comes to meat, Walmart does offer one thing the others don't. Sheer volume. Need chicken thighs, ground beef, or pork chops at 2 in the morning, you'll find them stacked high like mountains of bargains, ready to be tossed into your cart. But here's the question that ought to keep you awake. What exactly are you getting for that convenience? Yes, Walmart's selection is huge, but don't expect to impress anyone with specialty cuts. You won't find a dry-aged steak to celebrate your anniversary, and forget about those precise butcher-trimmed pieces you see at real meat counters. This is assembly line meat. The same mass-produced stuff churned out by giants like Tyson and Cargill, where animals are treated more like factory parts than living creatures. And let's be honest, do you trust a system built to push millions of pounds of meat every week to care about quality over speed? Tracing where that meat actually comes from is like trying to follow a trail in a sandstorm. Labels rarely tell the full story. And once meat has passed through industrial processing plants, your fresh pork chop could have traveled across several states, or even crossed borders, before reaching your plate. Some customers shrug and say, "It's cheap, and it cooks fine." But that's the same excuse people use when buying mystery meat at gas stations. Cheap now, regret later. But here's where the story takes a strange turn. Walmart, the king of cut corners, is, believe it or not, starting to shift in the right direction, at least in one tiny corner of its empire. Their 100% grass-fed beef, sourced from right here in the United States. Like Wyoming, Utah, and even a rancher-owned company in Nebraska called Sustainable Beef, LLC, shows they're at least pretending to care about quality. And yes, that's a step forward, but you have to hunt for it. Those better cuts are often buried among the usual factory-farmed packages, like finding a clean fork at a buffet after a busload of tourists just left. So what's the bottom line? For everyday basics, Walmart's variety is unmatched, but that mountain of choice hides a simple truth. Most of it is still the same old industrial meat. If you shop there, read every label like your health depends on it, because it might. And if Wegmans reminded you what trust in food feels like, stepping back into Walmart feels like giving up that trust all over again. Maybe the real question is, how much risk are you willing to trade for a deal number 6? Whole Foods. After wading through Walmart's mountain of industrial meat, Whole Foods feels like walking into another world, where meat is treated like something you're supposed to respect, not just rip open and toss into a frying pan. But let's be honest, for many folks, Whole Foods isn't just a store, but a punchline. People joke about selling a kidney to afford groceries there. Still, the question that matters isn't whether it's expensive, but whether the price buys you something that actually matters. And for once, the answer might surprise you. Whole Foods sells meat and also a promise. And in this case, they seem to keep it. No antibiotics or added growth hormones. Of course, no excuses. Every package you pick up follows those strict rules. And in a time when even figuring out where your meat came from feels like detective work, that's worth something. You want a dry-aged steak for your dinner? They've got it. Need specialty cuts that other stores don't even bother stocking? They're right there. For anyone who still remembers when quality wasn't a luxury, Whole Foods feels like a reminder of what food is supposed to taste like. But before you start singing their praises, here's the part most people don't know, and probably won't like. That friendly sign saying locally sourced. It doesn't apply to everything. If you don't see a local farm label on the package, your beef or chicken might be coming from the same massive suppliers that stock Walmart, like Tyson or Purdue. The difference Whole Foods forces those suppliers to meet their strict no antibiotics, no hormones standards, which is still better than most places. But if you picture some small family farm for every single cut you buy, you might be fooling yourself. Does that mean it's not worth it? That depends on what you care about, if you're willing to pay extra for meat that follows high standards. Whole Foods is one of the few big chains where you can buy without that gnawing little voice asking, what did they put in this? But if you're expecting every steak to come straight from Farmer Joe's pasture, you might leave disappointed. Whole Foods earns its place near the top for its uncompromising rules and specialty selection. It's where you go when you want a guarantee, when you need to impress, or when you just can't stomach rolling the dice at cheaper stores anymore, and if the price tag makes you gulp. Consider this. What's scarier, paying a few dollars more, or not knowing what's really sitting on your dinner plate? Number 7, Giant grocery chain. Leaving the polished aisles of Whole Foods for Giant feels a bit like stepping off a cruise ship and landing in a crowded bus station. You're still going somewhere, but the experience is a lot less glamorous. And that's the tragedy of Giant. It could be great. On paper, it even looks great. They're nature's promise line, organic. Grass-fed beef sourced from places like South Dakota and Nebraska is the kind of product that makes you think, finally, a store that gets it. But here's the catch. A great product doesn't mean much if it's never actually there when you need it. Picture this: you plan your dinner, maybe even brag a little to the family about cooking something better than usual. You walk into Giant expecting that beautiful grass-fed cut. And what do you find? Empty shelves, picked over packages, and a butcher counter that looks like a raccoon got there first. You're left digging through what's left, hoping for something that doesn't look like it's been handled by 10 other frustrated shoppers. After a few wasted trips, you start asking yourself why bother planning anything if the store can't keep up its end of the deal. And that's the real problem here: consistency, or the lack of it. It's almost worse than not offering quality at all. At least with Walmart, you know exactly what you're getting every time, good or bad. But with Giant, you get your hopes up, only to have them dash the moment you see that empty space where your dinner was supposed to be. It's like being stood up on a date once or twice. You might laugh it off, but after the third time, you stop answering the phone. For many shoppers, that frustration eventually pushes them somewhere more reliable. Why gamble on whether your dinner plans survive the shopping trip? And maybe that's the real shame. Giant has the right idea, the right suppliers, even the right philosophy with nature's promise. But philosophy doesn't feed your family if it doesn't make it onto the shelf. So yes, if you catch Giant on a good day, you can score some of the best beef for the price. But good luck figuring out which day that is, unless you've cracked the secret delivery schedule or made friends with a butcher willing to give you a heads up. You're just rolling the dice. And after tasting what Whole Foods and Sprouts can deliver consistently, it's hard to settle for maybe anymore. But don't give up. Just yet, the next stop proves that some regional chains can balance quality and reliability if you're willing to brave the crowds. Number 8. Publix. Publix feels like walking into a place where someone actually remembered why people shop for food in the first place. It's almost shocking how rare that feels these days. In the Southeast, Publix isn't just a store, it's practically a badge of honor. People talk about it with the kind of loyalty some folks reserve for their favorite sports teams, and when you see their meat counter, it's easy to understand why. Publix has a reputation for doing things right, and for once. That reputation is deserved. The quality of their meat speaks for itself. With antibiotic-free options and a selection wide enough to cover almost any recipe you can dream up. But what truly sets Publix apart isn't just the meat, it's the people behind the counter. The word that keeps coming to mind: accommodating. And not the fake, forced smile kind of accommodating either. These butchers seem to actually care. Need a large cut repackaged into smaller portions. They'll do it. No sighing, no rolling eyes. Want the fat cap trimmed off a brisket before you even leave the store. Done right there on the spot. For anyone who still remembers the days when butchers took pride in their craft, this feels like stepping back into a time when service meant something. And let's be honest, how often do you see that anymore? Most places now act like asking for help is asking for too much. It's not just convenient, it's personal. That level of service saves you time, saves you from making a mess at home. And, maybe most importantly, it makes you feel like a customer again instead of just another set of hands swiping a credit card. It's almost funny, isn't it? The biggest complaints about modern grocery stores are that they've become too cold, too rushed, too mechanical. Publix seems to have taken that personally and decided to prove everyone wrong. Publix is the full package quality meat, a solid selection, and service that feels almost old-fashioned in the best possible way. For those lucky enough to live near one, it's easy to see why the store inspires such devotion. And for everyone else, it's proof that good service hasn't completely disappeared, you just have to know where to find it. But hold on to that good feeling. Because the next store on our list, despite its reputation for high standards, might just remind you why paying more doesn't always mean sleeping easy at night. Number 9. Shopright. If Publix feels like a friendly neighbor who always has time to chat, Shopright feels more like a busy train station you can get where you need to go. But don't expect anyone to hold the door for you. And yet, here's the twist buried beneath the chaos. Shopright is trying harder than most to do the right thing. Their parent company has real standards for animal welfare. And their bowl and basket chicken line promises no antibiotics, no hormones. That's not just lip service, it's a genuine step in the right direction. But good intentions don't always translate to a good experience. And this is where Shopright stumbles. Walking into Shopright during peak hours can feel like trying to merge into highway traffic during rush hour. Everyone's impatient, and nobody seems thrilled to be there. The freezer cases, crowded. The butcher counter, a waiting game. And when you finally reach the counter, the overwhelmed staff often looks more focused on keeping the line moving than on giving you that personal advice you were hoping for. Can you blame them? Probably not, but it doesn't change the fact that you're left choosing cuts on your own, hoping you picked something decent. And here's the thing that makes it sting. Shopright could be fantastic. They already have the ethics. They have the quality products. And you can see flashes of care in the little details. Their pre-packaged meats, for example, are consistently wrapped well, no messy leaks dripping through your cart or ruining your grocery bags. It's such a small thing, but isn't it funny how sometimes that's what sticks with you? You might forget the long line, but you'll definitely remember not having to clean raw chicken juice out of your trunk. Still, you have to ask yourself, is it worth braving the crowds just for that? Some shoppers swear by it, saying the quality makes it worthwhile if you time it right. Others have simply given up, unwilling to fight through the weekend madness. Maybe that's the real secret treat. Shopright like a fishing trip. Go early, go patient, and hope you're lucky enough to reel in what you need. It's true that Shopright earns points for trying to do things the right way, but until they figure out how to make the experience as good as the products, it's hard to give them a higher spot. And after tasting the warm, personal service at Publix, stepping into Shopright can feel like a cold reminder that good ethics don't always make for a good shopping trip. But don't lose hope, yet the next store on our list shows that when quality and customer care finally meet, the results can be downright impressive. Number 10. King Cullen. We now land in Long Island, New York, home to a supermarket legend, King Cullen. This isn't just another grocery store, it holds the title of America's very first supermarket, and that long history shows in every detail of its meat department. Here, quality isn't just a promise, it's the standard. Shoppers can expect USDA choice beef, American lamb, and a strong variety of antibiotic-free options. The poultry section stands out, too, thanks to premium brands like Bell & Evans, known for humanely raised, antibiotic-free chicken. But what truly sets King Cullen apart isn't only the meat, it's the butchers. Even on busy weekends, they manage to make time for customers, often approaching you first if they notice you studying the display. That level of proactive service feels almost old-fashioned in the best way, a reminder of when butchers knew their customers by name. Despite the crowds, the meat counter feels calm because locals know exactly what they want, keeping everything efficient and pleasant. Exceptional quality, impressive variety, and helpful butchers make King Cullen a rare gem. The only drawback, you have to be in Long Island to experience it. For those nearby, this is a true treasure worth the trip. Every choice you make at the meat counter shapes your health. Which store truly earns your trust? Share your thoughts below. And let's demand better food together. Subscribe for more eye-opening truths.
Thank you for watching today's video all the way through. If you found the content helpful, don't forget to click like and subscribe to stay updated to our latest daily videos. Now feel free to check out other feature videos currently shown on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.